Welcome back, everyone, to another Captain Patriot video. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. So as we near the election, I've been thinking a lot about, people's decision-making process and the fact that it's not very good. Obviously, we've seen people elect Joe Biden, and that was a poor decision, to say the least. So I'm curious to see what people think about Kamala Harris versus Trump and this upcoming election. And with the DNC going on right now in Chicago, I thought it would be really interesting to watch this video that Fox posted. And I'm not a Fox News watcher. I don't watch the news, any sort of large news publication. I just kind of ignore. And so I'm curious to see, what side or what angle they come at this from. And I'm going to add my thoughts on it as well and kind of pause throughout and ask questions and add my thoughts as we go. So let's get started.
The barbershop is the center of everything in the community. If you want to know something, politics, what's happening in the streets, any type of deals, anything, you come to the barbershop. The DNC is here in Chicago. How do y'all feel about that?
It's a really interesting discussion. We're going to find out, after this convention, how the American people feel about their pocketbooks.
Tell me about the people that come and sit in your chair. What do they say is, what's normally the number one issue they feel is facing the country right now?
Finance.
Finances?
Yeah, support. Cost of living is high.
They tell me.
Yo, if you're watching this video, if you've made it this far, congrats. But drop a comment down below. What is one of the biggest things for you and as a deciding factor when it comes to you voting in this election? For me, personally, it's honestly finances. It's taxes, it's groceries, it's gas, it's a cost of living, rent versus, is it cheaper to rent or to own? Just everything specifically relating to money and specifically how our government is spending our money. And so I'm curious to know what you guys think. Do you feel like it's an over exaggeration to say that the economy is still not doing very well? Because I feel like it isn't. Personally, this is my personal perception of what's kind of happened. And it feels like we haven't really returned to pre-COVID levels. And so I don't know if that's intentional. I don't know if that's due to the wars happening across the world, but it definitely feels like something's broken. So I'm curious to know what you guys think.
Me, that they just they want to see a change in inflation, prices.
I think taxes are too high. Groceries are too high. Taxes are too high. Gas is too high.
Yep, damn right.
All the immigrants came in and they're giving, it's like the stuff they have for the Americans, they're giving it to the immigrants that's coming in.
Mm-hmm.
That's another question too I have for everyone really, but more so for people who more so lean left. Do you agree with that? Do you agree with the Democrats' policy of letting in illegal immigrants into the country? Do you think that we should have more strict regulation on entry into the country? Do you think anyone should just be allowed to claim asylum and then that should be good enough? Should we be allowing, what do you think is a good idea? Because it feels like the current policy in place is just not working. And I don't know if it was put into place with good intentions or with bad intentions, but it doesn't seem to be working. And so I'm curious to know what you guys think on that as well.
It hurts black people more than anything. Black men particularly like to work with their hands. They like to drive trucks. And, those are jobs that,
Are you going to say black jobs? Are you going to say black jobs? Because I'm pretty sure you're going to get roasted for that by Michelle Obama if you do. If you haven't seen her DNC speech, she roasts Trump for saying black jobs. Everyone seems to be really caught up on that fact. But, this guy doesn't seem he doesn't seem put off by saying that at all. So, and I think it's true. I think there are certain industries or jobs that tend to have more people of a certain race than other jobs. So it's just like, there's nothing wrong with saying that. It's just true.
an illegal can come in and underbid him with third world prices and put him out of work.
Who do you think is responsible for that, giving them the benefits and allowing them to come over?
Biden, Trump was trying to keep them out, so to speak, as much as he could, but Biden just like let the gate open.
Who would win from the people that you speak to, Kamala Harris or Donald Trump?
50-50.
It's still a 50-50 race.
Yeah, it's up in the air. Some people like Kamala because she represents change and she's different.
Correct.
Some people like Trump because they feel like he's more business-minded. So it's up in the air.
It's a coin flip.
Are they gonna go for Kamala?
And why do you think they're going to go for Kamala?
Because they made it about history now.
I would vote for Kamala.
So when you were telling me about the number one issue, talking about illegal immigration and them coming to Chicago, she represents the same thing as Biden. You said Trump fixed it, was trying to fix it. So why would you double down and vote for Kamala?
The reason I would, like I said, vote for her is because I think it's time for a woman president.
What do you say?
Yeah, see, what kind of qualification is that? No, genuinely, genuinely asking, what kind of qualification is just being a woman? How is that good enough to be the reason you're voting for that person to be president? Like, I'm not voting for Trump because he's a man. I'm not going to vote for anyone because they're a man. I'm going to vote for them because they have good policy, good sound policy that makes sense, logical sense, not emotional sense, but logical sense. So I'm curious to know why does it feel like the left doesn't seem able to realize that they've been, I don't know, gaslit into voting for people based off of the color of their skin or off of their gender? I mean, if you want to be part of this big movement and you say, "Oh yes, we did this amazing thing. We elected this woman president, and look how amazing we are for doing that," and then this president who happens to be a woman destroys the country, you've only now made it harder for any woman in the future to become president. Like, you have to understand that there are future implications, and maybe your daughter one day wants to become president. You don't know. So to take that away by basically picking the worst of the worst, which I think Kamala is, you're picking the worst of the worst and selecting her as your representative of what future female presidents are going to be. I mean, you're only doing yourself a disservice if that's actually your goal. Is your goal to be, you want people to see women as just as capable leaders as men? Well, then you need to make sure you're picking a strong, smart woman to be president, not someone who is going to turn their back on the American people and destroy the country more than it already has been destroyed. You need to get someone in office who's actually going to do a good job and represent women well versus someone who's not going to do a good job and represent women poorly. That's why I'm so confused by this argument that you want a female president. Well, so you just want a president for her gender, right? She's a token, right? That's what it sounds like from the left right now. It doesn't sound like a genuine attempt to get someone who is actually going to make a better change for America. It sounds like you just want to hire someone because of their sex. It's bizarre.
To the brothers that say, I'm just trying to, life was just better for me under the last administration.
I don't believe that. I don't believe it. Especially people in our industry.
But you do hear it, don't you?
I hear it, but I don't believe it.
Yeah.
See, this is what's interesting. It seems like the left has really gotten their nails in deep on a lot of people. And not just black people, just everyone. Like the left seems to have, I don't know if it's the media machine they use to pull the wool over people's eyes, or what it is specifically about the left that seems to be so appealing. Maybe it's the feel-good policies that make people feel good. Oh yeah, share the wealth and, no tax cuts for the rich. We're only going to give tax cuts to the poor, and, all this like really nice platitudes, but in logical sense, it doesn't actually work out to be in the American people's best interest, right? It only hurts the economy when you have these leftist policies in place because they're not based on any sort of actual financial plan. They're not based on a business plan, right? They're based on emotional plans to make people feel good. And so it's like when you say, I don't believe it. It's like, well, how much evidence is it going to take for you to actually believe it? What do you need to see in order for you to believe it, right? Ask yourself, if you're one of these people, ask yourself, what do I need to see in order to believe that I'm on the wrong side? Or that this person isn't the right choice for the Democratic Party, that they're not representing my interests as an American, right? What does it take for you to realize that?
I don't believe it.
It's really enlightening to hear individuals start to change their political direction. I think it's time that blacks in general need to boost our political IQ. Stop being blindly faithful to a one-party system that does not work for us.
100%. He said that so well, and it's so true. And I like that. That's parroting pretty much what I said. And I think that a lot of people are feeling that way. And I think that's a common sentiment that a lot of people are uncomfortable with talking about because of the backlash that you're going to receive if you talk about it. And I think it's interesting, specifically in the black community, that so many people seem to be, it feels like people are being torn in different directions in the black community. It seems like there's a lot of people who support Trump in the black community, while still there's so many people who are so anti-Trump and hate Trump and think he's a racist. But it's like, if you educate yourself on Trump and his policies and his history, he's not racist. So this is like, you have to kind of sift through the lies. And this is why I don't watch media. This is why I don't watch large media companies or organizations, is because they can get away with lying because it's entertainment, right? And so, you know, this is the kind of content I want to see more of, is on the ground, asking people questions, gaining insight into why and how they think. It's just sad that we've not seen stuff like this from the left. And if they do, they always try and find the craziest Trump supporter they possibly can, rile them up, and then cut out a vast majority of the segment and only use the craziest parts to really frame this side as a certain type of way, right? And I'm not saying that Fox doesn't do this, but I see it so much more from the left than I do from the right. So it's interesting. That's all.
Choose to be like a Democrat, you know, but they really don't know the history of it. It's time to, you know, to start thinking about like thinking outside the box.
Basically, most of us, I believe, we voted Democrat because that's what we was brought up to do. You know, you go to the poll, they say vote Democrat, vote Democrat, but I don't really see no change that they say they're doing.
Everything
They don't, man. I mean, has the Democratic Party changed? I mean, has it changed? Didn't the Democratic Party found the KKK? I'm pretty sure that's true. I know the first Republican president was Abraham Lincoln. I know that the Democratic Party was, well, it's a little bit more of a sidetrack, but it's interesting because, you know, you have like a history there attached with that party. And for some reason, it's almost like the black community has been gaslit to some degree to only vote Democrat, and that if you don't, that you're an Uncle Tom. You know, that's what they'll call you. They'll call you an Uncle Tom if you vote Republican. It's very, you know, it's based on shaming, but also like exclusion from the community if you don't align with the thought pattern. It's very interesting.
hearing from the Democrats are already things that they failed at over 30 years.
Blacks are struggling more than any other demographic. We got the highest prison rate, highest high school dropout rate, highest murder rate. What's in it for us?
Most blacks are conservative. If the Republican Party could just learn how to communicate, and the reason why they can't communicate is they don't get us. But a lot of people.
I will say the right has a big issue with communication, specifically, you know, in how they sell their ideas or sell their policies. They're not very good salesmen. That's for sure, right? The policy itself might be a great policy that could benefit all of Americans, but it doesn't matter if you're not able to sell it, right? Because you're going to have to sell it to people in Congress and in the House. So if you're not able to sell it, and to the president. So if you can't sell the idea, right? If you can't sell your idea basically has no value because no one's going to want to buy it. So if you have this great product, but you're a crappy salesman, it doesn't matter how great your product is if no one's buying it because you can't sell it. So you're not going to help anyone with your product. So it's just like, and then someone else comes along, right? Someone else will come along and take that product and they'll be a good salesman. And then they're going to make all that money off of your idea. And this is exactly what Kamala Harris is doing with Trump's idea. Trump said, I'm not going to, no more taxes on tips, right? For service industries. So this affects barbershops. This affects restaurants. This affects so many different industries. And it's so interesting because now everyone's saying, wow, Kamala, this is amazing that you're doing this. This is incredible. Like, I can't believe this. Like, I'm going to vote Democrat now. But it's like, well, Trump said this months ago. This was Trump's policy first, but because he can't sell it, no one bought it and no one knew about it, right? And so now that Kamala is saying it, she's garnishing more support because of it, right? And so this is just one of those situations you kind of like find yourself in where you're looking around the room and there's no sign of intelligent life anywhere to be found, right? Because if you were actually paying attention to what Trump said, you'd realize that the policies themselves are good and that he's just a really shitty salesman, right? And if you look at Kamala and if you're paying attention, you'll realize that she's a great saleswoman, but she has no ideas of her own. She's a cackling hen. She has no idea, no critical thought, no plan in place, right? She's failing upwards.
People are waking up right now. As you can see, just speaking to the brothers and sisters in the shop. And you know how many barbershops and beauty salons there are throughout the country?
This same conversation is happening pretty much in every barbershop.
Everywhere, man, and it's changing.
That's great, Lawrence.
Yeah, the question is it changing fast enough for 2024? Because it doesn't feel like it. Somehow Kamala has a ton of support. I'm worried, man, because if Kamala gets elected, we are like, our economy is already in a bad place. I can't imagine how many more wars are going to start with Kamala as president. It just seems like this is I don't know. It just seems like this is a very, very crucial and pivotal moment for us as Americans to really get our heads screwed on straight and to stop listening to news outlets like this, like Fox News or CNN or whatever you listen to, and start doing some critical thinking for yourself, pulling in information from multiple sources, doing your own research, and actually looking at the facts and trying to figure out what is going to be the best candidate for you and for what you want for your future and for your family's future. And right now, economically, I think hiring a businessman for the role as president in the United States of America makes the most sense over hiring someone with basically no experience whatsoever and hasn't done a very good job as vice president. Why do we think now all of a sudden she's going to be the right fit for the job? Right. And it's like, I don't understand why people on the left are still so dead set on getting Kamala into office. It just seems like a really stupid thing. It seems like a really, not very well thought out thing, but for some reason it's taken hold of roughly half of America. So I'm curious to know what you guys think. I really want to know from your perspective. If you're an American citizen, comment down below. Let me know what you think on this. Let me know if you think that there is hope for America, if you think America is just doomed, if we're just going to get into World War III. I'm just, I don't know. I don't want to be stuck in an echo chamber. So I want to hear everyone's opinions. I want to know what you guys think on this, because it is, you can't let conversation die. You can't let your opinion be drowned out by the masses. You can't let people tell you that you're not allowed to think a certain thing or say a certain thing or do a certain thing. It's just sad that we're in this point now where it seems like communication is such a big issue for so many people. And I can't help but feel like social media has destroyed communication for people. People don't know how to talk to one another respectfully and honestly. And, it's just, this is where we're at now. So I'm hoping that maybe this gets through to some of you. If it doesn't, that's okay. I enjoyed making this video, but either way, drop a like, drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.